and tigers and elephants, or the beauty of soaring eagle or falcon. It is by the hand of Allah that each animal is formed, that by the wisdom of Allah each and every animal has a purpose and reason for life. Verily, Allah placed all people as stewards of the earth. Whoever is kind to his creatures, Allah is kind to him. Therefore, upon your death, you shall be held accountable for each animal you tended and each you killed. Respect all of Allah's living creations when treating animals of burden. Ride them when they are fit to be ridden, and get off them when they are tired. Any person who shows cruelty to an animal shows disrespect to Allah. Do not permit animals killed for food to suffer in death. Show even a little compassion to the animals that sustain your life, and Allah will show a little compassion upon your day of judgment. The killing of animals for sport is an abomination in the eyes of Allah and is a grave transgression. A true Muslim is not permitted to eat meat of any animal cruelly slaughtered. Do not eat swine flesh, as it makes one prone to madness, nor should one eat shellfish uncooked, nor the fish of birds unless cooked properly. Thus, for every fish or bird or animal that is rightly slaughtered, pray and give thanks to Allah. Prepare its flesh even after death, treat it with respect and waste nothing. This is the law.
Thank you for your beautiful read. And as it said, respect all of Allah's living creation. So we give you respect. Some great things you read. Anything for yourself? Ooh, something popping.
Um, I just respect Allah's creations as much as I can, as much as I can be good. I don't eat meat, so I don't slaughter animals for food. But here recently, watching all these videos of how it's made in
Mm-hmm.
these processing facilities, and just watching videos of people handling the animals, it's a bunch of cruelty going on, and we don't really know how they treating any of the animals, of the meat that you're getting out the stores, out the restaurants. I mean, if you're probably raising your own animals, then that's really the only way that you can know, unless you know somebody in your neighborhood or know the people that's butchering the animals and stuff. But other than that, it's hard these days. Like, nobody can really say they know what's going on with the meat. So I choose to stay away from the meat.
That's a
Cause it
fact.
ain't, cause it ain't a battle about not eating meat or eating meat. People get into the there they go with the they don't eat meat. They expect us to feel like they should not be eating meat. It's not that. you know, it's a respect. You know, it's a respect thing.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, there's some beautiful lessons to be learned from this power right here. Now, how you enhance yourself, because this ain't about you choose your own choice, but just providing the best availability of knowledge so you can make the best choice for yourself. And so, understanding that one of the things I would like to point out is well, we have been denied for so long certain pieces of knowledge that, would liberate your soul and cleanse your inner being. And those techniques have been denied because they don't want us to know dilly white squat. They want you to be a nail in the wall. So, in order to prevent that, direct intervention has happened. And so we shall not be a nail in the wall. And so when we understand the premise of our opening, it's simply, as she was stating, about looking at others and then hearing others say they do this, say they do that, and you hearing that and thinking you should do what they doing. This is all about this simple statement. This first simple statement, if you got your paper, your pen out, your phone, take notes on your phone, because these things are essential to not falling into the lower realms of false realities. And so the simple grounds that we was speaking on earlier to stand on is to be or be not. This is be or be not. We don't have to make it no more complex than how simple the Creator has created us. So all the teachings from Jesus to Buddha to Muhammad to all the great prophets, all the way back to himself, Allah, want us to understand that one grain, if we can understand that one mustard seed will move many mountains, not just one, many mountains upon the command. And when we say command, the co-creation, we have to understand be or be not. This is how you eliminate all that is not a part of truth. How do we discern truth in every matter that we are in? As it says at the bottom of what the beautiful voice spoke, this is law. There's not only physical laws that you abide by, called your city ordinances or county lights, but also there are spiritual laws, as you have heard. So there's not only the letter of the law, there's the unseen law, which you, me, anyone can never escape from until you understand. And so this understanding is given to us every day. Y'all finna get it, so let me get some more water. We finna get it. We finna turn it up. So the business that you stand on is be or be not. You don't have to sit and contemplate is that you or not. You already know. So either be or be not. So understanding that these approaches are part of the way, and the way is a user-friendly way of the Creator that gave us all the ability and all abilities that we didn't know through others teaching or speaking. And these things are revealed to us now. And so we can ignore like you do things on the earth plane, or you can bring them into awareness. And this is where you begin to start going from the lower to the higher. So as we look at the definition through the etymon, we're going to go through a couple literal descriptions of the word animal. The animal. So you get just another view. So you'll be able to have, all you need is two, give you another view so you'll see what is and what's not. Animal. Now, animal, any sentient living creature. Now, an animal, any sentient living creature, in parentheses, including humans, from animale, living being, being which breathes. Being which breathes is a living being. Animate, living of the air, from anima, breath, soul, a current of air. Coming from the root ana, to breathe. Reverting back to Super 14, this is the light. And this light that breathes is not only the light. For my adepts who stepped in, when you're searching for the marvelous light, for my youngins, when you hear that you lit, this is talking about greater awarenesses that's greater than the smaller consciousness. That which breathes is the spoiler. That which breathes is you. And when I say you, I mean yourself. The light, that which breathes, is the heavenly light. Heavenly and not earthly. Now we should begin to understand why everyone doesn't look the same. Or this is why I feel the way I feel. We must understand our Creator is unique. And so, if you were created, who made you? Who created you? If you knew that understanding, then you will know that that Creator is unique. And this is why it's said as one of the all-knowing, infinite qualities. Not finitude or beginning with the time and space. Anything enclosed or circumscribed. We're not talking of that type of light. This light is the opposite. It's from above. And this from above have the same action as what you experiencing below. What you experiencing as breath below come from a higher above. And when we say above, we know heaven. So to understand your being, is from heaven is to begin to understand both the higher self and the lower self. Now you might be asking, the higher self and the lower self. Now if you're unfamiliar, we finna get familiar. And if you already know, stick around, we finna get more advanced. So understand that these two understandings have been committed by others to be completely hidden from your awareness. No one of power, no one in a position of domination would prefer you to know this. So this have been strictly hidden from the sight of our mind. Because you know once the mind get it, you become aware of it. But we got to get into some simple understandings. We ain't left nothing yet. Everything is the same when we talking about the way. There's only one way, not two ways. Just as there was only one way for you to be born, there's only one way to live life and to understand the journey of death. Both exist. Whatever exists, exists. Now, we may be saying like, okay. Whatever exists, exists. Can you begin to think of something that does not exist? Now, you just got a glimpse into the higher self. The higher self cannot exist. Yeah, it was speaking internally. So the higher self can never, that's what needs to be said, can never not exist. So this is a light that is from heaven. This light that can never not exist is a heavenly light that we need to understand while existing. That closed it in. If we have no awareness of this grand heavenly, many creation stories, and I don't deal personally as a truth, myths. So mythologies are part of myths. But there are plenty creations of myths that describe the creation from the beginning. And some starts with light, some starts with darkness. So depending on the area of the text and the culture of the myth, depends on how creation begins. But what I'm expressing will take you beyond mythologies and take you into reality. Both higher self and lower self, we must learn. We must understand through learning what is and what is not. AKA be or be not. Salon. Salon. This is the understanding that needs to be understood. All of this is understandable. So don't feel as it can't be understood. You are already, you are already that self. The capital S. So to understand the lowercase s is what is causing the restrictions and the buffering that's creating the confliction that's separating the higher awareness of who you are. The death that will happen is the separation of the higher self from the lower self. And this is what we call the way of life and the journey of death. And so we are speaking on heavenly things, right? And so be as perfect as he in heaven. Familiarity? So if it's any familiarity, now let's get to some exclusivity. God is personal. God is omnipotent, yet God is personal. So we must understand when we use this word God. In the right context over here, we want to put things in the accurate view. So if that is the only word that you truly have faith and trust in, and that you fully have invested your full self, your entire being into, and you choose not to look in no other direction and read no other holy book from the holy prophets or any book from the Creator. And so you have God and you know God. So in this context, God would be the higher self. God is the higher self. Now, at KOS, this is an understanding. Everything is a concept. And everything outside of a concept is from the Creator. Anything that you can think of was already thunk of by your Creator. These two understandings will save billions of lives. These two understandings will save billions of lives. The higher self and the lower self. Now, this has been prohibited and forbidden for us to come to awareness of. Number and look at the number. As this is public, we won't use the entire words of purity so it could be understood. And so number 10 says all that has been hidden. This is very primary to what? Now, this is, let's see how, because this is a vast topic and I would like for it to be understood correctly. And so there's many general approaches, but we want to get to a certain species. So let's just leave, let's say, animals, and then let's just come to the species of the human being. And so all human beings do not want the same for all human beings. Now, I didn't say the same thing. I hope you caught it. All human beings don't want the same for all human beings. This is why we have not understood what we need to understand to be able to liberate ourselves and be able to be ourselves, and not subjected to others' ideas, concepts, and identifications, and especially identification systems made of belief. And these things have tortured and tormented the soul by not understanding where the soul has came from. And so the soul never began to understand its own language. Being imprisoned by a language can escape you from your soul reality, which is your pure heavenly divine reality, which it has its language that it speaks on its own unique language that no one understands but itself, that no one else understands but itself. These are proprietary to understanding one sole creator. The creator has proprietorship over all proprietors. So anything in propriety belongs to and is proper to the creator or the proprietor. So when we are speaking about all of this as a concept of business, this has been remodeled and structured to make your profits turn you into profit, profit. So instead of receiving the higher prophet, the wisdoms and the teachings, we receive the profit, the form of the lower. Therefore, never liberating ourselves, but therefore needing more. What I'm speaking on is the way, which means be or be not. It must be. The creator must be, or you would not be. If you did not exist right now, you would be not. The great creator have given you his gifts to explore yourself. Yourself was made by himself. These two understandings is the higher self and lower self. If you want to be eternally happy, what we call eternal happiness, you must live by one wisdom and not two understandings. You know two understandings, but you live only with one wisdom. And these approaches should be akin to the feeling of your heart. Every act that you think is a sacred act. We have to reconvert ourselves from non-sacred acts to every act becoming more and more sacred, bringing more and more profundity to our entire collective awareness, bringing about a whole entire awareness. Untruth is never truth. In short, I'm going to bring some teachings from Esau, also known as Jesus, also known as Esau, to help us maybe relieve any suffering and pain. Y'all ready? All right. Jesus said, Esau said, this is coming from number 37 out of chapter 11, out of the circle 7. The thoughts of Allah, of all law, change not. Now we talking about the Creator. The Creator thoughts changes not. Do we know how grand and great and divine that statement of awareness if we receive that through self-awareness? If yourself can become aware, you can free yourself. This is an opening to an eternal opening. This will never close. But we have to understand the opening. The opening begins with the thoughts, not thoughts. Those are when you use your lower self. Your lower self when you use thought, this contributes to the higher self. Our Creator used thoughts. We got to really apprehend this. Our Creator uses thoughts to create and sustain life. Can you think? Do you have thoughts? Perhaps the Creator is in you. We understand from our own understanding that man, including men and women, are a thought from our Creator. All living creations come from the thoughts of all law. Law has created all through thoughts. And you are laws. This is the understanding of heaven. If you understand who made you, if you understand who created you, then you know the one wisdom. There's only one wisdom to understand. As we teleport from the lower self to the higher self, we have to understand thought teleportation. The thoughts of our Creator changes not. So that means anything our Creator created can never not exist. You can never not be, because you was created from your Creator. The thoughts, as I continue, the thoughts of all law changes not. The manifests, the forms of life that we see, the life forms on every plane, unfold into perfection of their kind. Their kind. Now, when you look around in life, don't you see many varieties of life forms? Well, as you see these life forms, you yourself is a life form. And so that life form is unfolding into perfection of that kind. And so as them, so with you. You are unfolding to your kind. As we continue, as the thought of Allah can never die. Is that not great news? Is that not good news? This is what we call the good gospel. This is what is everlasting. This is what is called the all inner. This is all inner. So we have to inner stand the inner self. And how do you understand? By both overstanding and understanding. This creates the combination or the nuclear fusion or the spiritual fusion. Because we got to remember, this is the grand news. This is big news. Are our hearts ready to receive this big space? Now, this is a big space. It can't be put in a small form. This small form gonna need some big space. We talking about immortality. This is what the way is. The way of immortal truth. When you come to KOS, you don't receive mortal dogma. Everything is on for your sake, everlasting life. For my sake, everlasting life. For all sake, everlasting life. You are a thought from Allah. There's no greater love than the love of Allah to those who believe. Who believe the Creator is in them. Can you become one with your Creator? It's like saying, can yourself become one with you? The thought of Allah can never die. There is no death. This is listen closely. Listen. There is no death to any being. It's a little bit more. We're gonna soak in this silence. There is no death to any being. Be or be not. If that's non-inspiring, you can cut the video, leave, and go handle your lower self. Handle your business. If you don't want that as a new thought to transform you into a new mind, then eternal happiness is far in the distance. But if you still here, that means you are near. Not a distance separates you, which is your higher self, from yourself, which is your lower flesh. Having these two understandings bring about understanding of why animals should not be mutilated or treated harmfully.
Now, in that definition you had brought up, it said that people were humans. I mean, animals were humans were animals as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you have to say about that?
I'm glad that you brought that forth. We was making a comment that needs to be restated from earlier. All people don't want all people to know this. Some people want to keep all people from this.
So what makes what's the difference between a person and an animal?
So some people have made laws that bring human beings to merely lesser than animals. So when they use the word animal as you see it on the screen, this is why you have to be knowing, because someone could be using animal in the sense of referring to a human being. And animals are and human beings are two different species. But both species, when it comes to man, man separates them. The Creator made both species.
They said people were stewards over the earth.
So this is what we get into. The Creator don't deal with that. The Creator deal with the people and responsibility. And since all law puts all people, see, all law, he fucks with all people. So and all people, see, not some people. See, if it ain't for all people, it's not for all people.
So is it a level of consciousness that separates an animal from a human? Like what exactly gives a person or a human the stewardship over the animal?
Wow.
And then why is that why
beautiful
the people are getting treated as animals?
Right. Beautiful. Because of what they call themselves. If you call yourself an animal, then you are an animal. By word, by you speaking as the Creator, if you don't know, then you are speaking as you do know. And so someone outside of you is going to take your speech as you are, or as what you are. And so you ask a beautiful question. This is why we have to be careful with accepting things that refer to themselves as animals. The goat, you hear goats, right? But you also, have y'all gave a thought to what did they call, peace be upon, Esau's name, who they called Jesus. What did they also call Jesus?
Lamb.
A lamb. A lamb, is that a human being or an animal? An animal.
But then in the Bible, but that's the Bible's, point of view. They also call people sheep.
Right, and you'll see they call people sheep. And so we're saying that's not of all law. All law, then he said all people. Not people are animals.
So what, is there a level of consciousness that's different?
Oh yes, we get to that. I'm glad that you stand there. Please don't let that slip. We're gonna spill that water right there. We just working our way to that grand magnificent, to what the ultimate cause is. This might be the best one ever right here. This might be the greatest show right here. So with that being said, with goats, rams, and lambs,
And kids.
and kids,
Y'all love to say kids.
to refer human beings to as such names is an insult to the divine creator.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say now in these people name that is called lambs or goats or rams, we are now insulting not only ourselves, but we are insulting our creator who created ourselves.
Now we saying we have a higher level of competence.
So now, this is why people have lost the idea of the question you have just asked. The question you just asked will set the entire population free. Because what we just stated prior sets this up. So instead of becoming one with God, now we have become worshiping less than God. When Allah says all people as stewards of the earth, that's saying you becoming God. All people, final outcome of coming into existence was for the purpose of becoming at one with God. And this is why everybody is scattered. As it said, I will scatter my flock. You just bust the grape out of the wine. It is no more properties of grape, and now it's water. This is what they have stolen, is the idea that you are supposed to become at one with God. You are supposed to become ye are gods. Plural.
And that's what it says in their text, in Christian text.
Right. And Allah saying it right here. In clearer. If you don't know what the God being look like, it says stewards. If you understand stewards, that means title. That means you have a trust. That means you have every right to your creator's property. If you become one with the creator, you have the rights to all the creator's property.
And so they have a hard time not seeing people as animals.
And that's why Absalom was created, who people say Islam, to counter the exact statement you made. Those few and those some who was in power and rulership with the language we was studying, with the dirty language, moving that through the land, this is how they were starting to bring it through the language, and everybody was making the Bibles. Because this was the game to get you to start worshiping instead of becoming. Give you a replacement instead of the authority. So all this time, we've been walking around with the copy, thinking it's the authority. The creator is the original. And if we have the original knowledge, then we should be speaking as the creator's word. The creator's word is what gives us our apostleship. It gives you the ability to speak. And now you are the steward speaking for your master, your creator, your Lord of the universe. So all high elite people know this process exists, but they have hidden it. So for niggas, black folks, it's called Islam. 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 For white folks, it's called, for Christianity, no, these are for saints. Let's say it that way. I've said it, you said it that way. For the good white saints, they call it theosis. And all Christians that are saints know this. But no one else knows this that's a part of the branches of.
So before we get there, what separates you from an animal? What separates oneself? What can someone self reflect upon when it comes to themselves and animals? Because that's,
I just said it, and I'm gonna say it again, make it more clear with fewer words. In Christianity, it's called theosis. In Islam, it's called Sufyan. What these two mean? Theosis mean become God. What Sufyan means is the same. Meaning you are not subject and you're not a slave to any. Only to none. And this has been the hidden secret and the hidden mystery that is now revealed to the public. If you are a Christian, you look up the word theosis. When you finish learning about theosis, know that's what Islam means. Islam is our way of becoming at one with our Creator. It tells us that's what. Oh, what?
Islam, just Islam.
Just Islam.
So
is what?
Cause like common Islam,
Sufyan Islam.
Sufyan Islam, and common Islam.
Okay, like speaking about, see, what we have is the Orthodox, just like the Catholic, how they would have the Orthodox, the original. We have the original, and so the original tells us to become, to be as stewards. So now when we are speaking about the process of understanding that whole duty, we have been told a whole different story. And this is why we are scattered and looking a mess. But we have halfway of a sense of it because we try not to get too far gone. And so it's the same way. So, matter of fact, let's bring you into the realm while we have the story. This is the Christian form of Islam and the process of what you are to do, as she said, to separate. What separates What separates an animal and a human being is becoming God. All right, here we go. Theosis. Theosis or deification. Making divine. Theosis is a transformative process whose aim is likeness to or union with God. As the beginning said, God made you in the image and the likeness. This was the goal for man and for men, all men and all women, was to become God.
But yes, but I don't know. Once you do come to that understanding, you get knowledge of self, things become clear. You go through all those processes. It's easier to understand that. But if you understanding the whole story of with Christians and Jesus in the Bible, that wasn't easily accepted then, and it still ain't easily accepted now. Because I personally have tried to bring people to the scriptures where it says that you can
Oh,
become God.
you become. This is what
Right.
KOS is
That's what I'm
for.
saying. You can become God and saying, showing that Jesus even was showing in certain scriptures where it was saying that you could become God or even better than him. But he was saying, but people don't accept that just right on like that.
I'm glad you're saying that, but that's the trap.
And
Since
then
people worship,
then you got people in the conscious community that are claiming to be gods and things like that, and people are getting more and more skeptical of that because now it's like cult like and things like that. So this is something that has to be dived into. You saying it?
all higher order life, all higher self life forms know this. Like, I know y'all don't know this word before I introduce it to you. So I know before you came to this channel or you heard this word theosis, you did not hear that before I brought it to you. So that means I know more than what you know. And so when it comes to understanding ancient wisdom, this is surpassing your grade level. This could be the understanding of people who are really understood. And to anything that's not understood is because you're not well read. That's not on me, that's on you.
So what people need to do is keep gathering knowledge, right?
No. What people need to do now that we at this point here is become God. Understand theosis.
But how they gonna do that without knowledge?
I just gave them the knowledge. Understand theosis or understand Islam. And so this is what people are scared of. And so everybody gonna be what they're gonna be. And you gonna be what you are. Everybody ain't what they claim to be. You will see it in their actions. This is what people who are ruling over you are doing. And then you think it's fair for them to do it. And you sit back. But you ain't got no understanding from no greater source, I guess. But that's the point of knowing the two understandings. You have both the higher self and the lower self. I'm not you, you not me. I came to help. And if there's a space in your heart to allow the Creator's powers and every attribute of God to come through, then consider it a blessing. But if you consider it to be attacked, then you have to understand that that's part of the chemistry of the lower self. And maybe everybody in incarnation don't receive these gifts at the same time, but they all in the same being. So everything is in everyone, but people block this knowledge. And so I did not. So when I have it, this is what we have. And once we have, now all can have. And all needs to have the concept. Someone else is playing the concept on you. But it's because you don't know. And it's only one thing to know when it comes to this Christian background or a Gnostic background, that this is what they're talking about. This is the end goal. People don't know the end goal, but the people of the ancient wisdom knew the end goal. And so you can see it on the screen, for your own reading. Many people already. And these were black folks. These was ancient niggas, as I always tell you. These are Sufyans. Everything is all, but people just don't get it. Because they ain't looking within. They ain't becoming, they judging. This about be or not. Let me reframe. Be or be not. You see what being not is getting. And so these people that you may be referring to calling themselves that, you don't get it by starting. This is something you yourself is doing on yourself. This has nothing to do with others. Once the teaching came down, that was for others. Now, since that the great teacher has gone, now it's up to you. Now what you gonna do with it? They flipped the script by having you worship him when he gave you the teaching of him and told you to take it on, pass the baton, and go be greater. But we somehow lost that approach. Some of us, not all of us, because now we have it retained due to not all of us stopping and not quitting and going to the end of understanding until we understand the final understanding to be understood. What are this God talk about? What is Allah talk about? What is any high voltage, supreme being, supreme creator wisdom is about? Do you want something less than you if it came out of you? It was plenty sayings, like father, like son. It's just like daughter, like mother. It's all the same understanding when you understand the one wisdom. Matter of fact, we did a whole sufa already. So now we'll go into let's go into another part of the Sufyan, the theosis. So let's just who all get down. As taught by Eastern Catholic churches and Eastern Orthodox Church. The same concept is also found in the Latin Church of the Catholic Church. See how they been hiding it? Where it is termed divinization. As a process of transformation, theosis is brought about by the effects of catharsis, purification of mind and body. Theoria, illumination, according to Eastern Christian teachings. Theosis is the very much the purpose of human life. See what I'm saying? Eastern, not Western. Eastern Christian teachers already know. But they selling you the Profit, the prophet. So they making big money by understanding the one wisdom. Theosis is very much the purpose of human life. So what separates an animal from a human being is theosis. Tell me what else not. Haven't you seen a man not under theosis? A god backwards? A dog. So a dog is an animal. Have you seen any males treat females as like they a dog? Don't the word the F, the female BIT go back to the dog? Come on now. So you go into the lower self, but you don't accept that the higher self exists. You accept the filth, but you won't accept the clean. So one can become a devil on earth, but one can't become God on earth. This is showing what's in your heart. We're going to continue on. Theosis is considered achievable. This is what they say. Theosis is considered attainable through human activity, through self-activity and God's uncreated energies. And I would just read to you, and what's that? Thought. So y'all just, you gonna have to take my, come take my classes. In the future, I'll be releasing books. All this is at koscommunity.com. Man, we, the whole community of KOS is ready. If you ready to understand the knowledge and the wisdom. This was back then. We talk about in our time. Where the people at in our time that's doing this in our time? That's what we're saying. It exists now. All this exists all at the same time, but when you in your lower self, you dealing with created energies. Things already created. We talking about uncreated energies. So let's go back further. Let's see. The primacy of theosis in Eastern Orthodox Christian theology is directly related to the fact that Byzantine theology is based to a greater extent than Latin Catholic theology on the direct spiritual insights of the saints or mystics. You heard of these words? Mystics or saints. These are the people who are practicing theosis. Hey, what you think your saint, what they, I hope it's clicking. Nuns, monks, I hope it's clicking. Byzantine Christians consider that no one who does not follow the path of union with God can be a theologian. Look at that, the point. As a pastor or a theologian, they ain't the same, but let's just say in our black people terms, a pastor, he's supposed to be in union. See, teaching this. But have your pastor or your church informed you on theosis? What else? Saint Athanasius of Alexandria. These are ancient Sufisms called saints in Egyptian. As Egyptian or in Egypt. Let's listen to what our ancient niggas had to say. He was incarnate that we might be made God. What would otherwise seem absurd? That fallen, sinful man may become holy as God is holy. has been made possible through Jesus Christ, who is God incarnate. Now you get the drift. This is the understanding that has been misunderstood by not knowing the word theosis. Jesus was showing all our asses, first hand, on sight, theosis. Naturally, the Christian assertion that God is one sets an absolute limit on the meaning of theosis, even as it is not possible for any created being to become God ontologically. There go the question she asked. What separates animals from humans? Here it come again. It is not possible for any created being to become God ontologically. Ontologically is a metaphysical word, means the philosophy of study of being. Oh, did we catch that? Of being. So no other created being can become the God being. Come on with it. Or even a necessary part of God. So a created being, a created form, cannot become the uncreated, the Holy Spirit, the Father of the Trinity. See these words? Still existing, but you didn't know that this potency and this power was done, known, and not established in your surrounding. Let's keep reading since we don't get this off. This is what the great female brings in. Most specifically, creatures. We're talking about what we just read. All Allah's living creation. Created beings cannot become God in his transcendent essence. Created beings cannot become God in his transcendent essence. What we talking about, not just walking around in a body. We talking about the heavenly divine light, the all inner. So now check this out. However, every being and reality itself is considered as composed of the immanent energy or the energia of God. As energy is the actuality of God. Now check this quote from a saint out. Saint Maximus the Confessor. A sure warrant for looking forward with no hope to deification of human nature is provided by the incarnation of God, which makes man God to the same degree as God himself became man. This is you yourself. Let us become the image of the one whole God, bearing nothing earthly in ourselves. In ourselves. Remember, earthly is created things. So now when you're talking about in, now what's in has to be something totally new. We don't want nothing always the same under the sun. Right. Bear nothing earthly in ourselves. so that we may consort with God and become gods, receiving from God our existence as God. For it is clear that he who became man without sin will divinize human nature without changing it into the divine nature, and will raise it up for its own sake to the same degree as he lowered himself for man's sake. This is what Paul teaches mystically. So the Paul teaches the Paul books. This is what the Paul books is teaching. And so this is an actuality pre 21st century, known in the East, given to them by Islam. And on the West, we have no clue that this exists. And this is where the West and the East meets. Now the West is meeting the East. Now this is why of ancient times, the so-called Middle East is so revered, because of the holiness and the holy grounds, and we're talking about divine beings incarnating and becoming divine while on earth. And so it's so much when it comes to this hidden process, this hidden practice. But the Catholic Church, all the churches have stolen this and made the priests take on all of these functions. And this is why they have their priesthood, to take on all this function, including the clergy, anything ecclesiastical. They take on this practice. And see, Islam have it was first and foremost with all law. So that's why you don't hear no Trinity. But for them to understand what we were so up on game, remember our people were stargazers, star mappers, knew stars existed before a telescope. Our people descended from the Creator, came from these divine things. But the great thing for us is we got it all collected. We got all those teachers. Imagine if you was in those times and before. We got all those people who came before us, knowledge and wisdom that they left for us to know. So we have a beautiful life ahead of us by understanding Islam or theosis. I'll read something out of the Circle 7. Salvation. Jesus said, faith is the surety of the omnipotence of Allah and man, the certainty that man will reach the deific life. Salvation is a ladder reaching from the heart of man to heart of Allah. Belief is lost in faith, and in fruition, faith is lost. And man is saved when he has reached deific life, when he and Allah are one. See, so there you have it. Ancient teachers deific life, this is when you become saved. It's not by you joining the church. It's not by you speaking the word God. It's about you making. Just how you was made. So when we cruising to understand what deific means, as this is how man is saved, this is how all men and women are saved. This process does not exclude women. Every soul, and remember, soul is an uncreated thing. So every soul that has a body is to make its body like the soul, divine. And this is becoming pure, purity in thoughts, purity in words. This is the power. So deific goes into making divine. Deificus means God making, sacred. So making and doing yourself. So as a steward, Allah says steward, and we talk about one who has charge of the affairs. One who is in charge of the affairs of themselves. And one who has charge of the affairs of the household or estate of another. So the other is the creator. The creator has sent you charge to be steward, to be in charge of his estate. His estate is his universe. This universe is the creator. So this is what we have to bring into high voltage of power. And to understanding, when we say the word consciousness, we are saying the word theosis. So now the proper word of consciousness at its highest purity is called theosis. So now when we understand, when you hear the word Asalam or Salam and Shalom, you know this is speaking to a greater part of you, the greater self. And a question was asked to Jesus, and that question was, of wisdom, what have you to say? Wisdom is the theosis, that man is alt, that Allah and man are one. So you have consciousness as wisdom is theosis. When you understand this one wisdom, now you have two understandings. And now you have the trinity of knowledge. And so with this understanding, there's more to be understood. Such as Jesus said, behold, for I have risen from the dead with gifts for men. He came from the higher plane. These are the teachings. You came from the higher plane. Remember, Jesus is you. You are Jesus, not in the same sense of the same person. We're saying came into existence. So the story of Jesus is the story of you. So as he came from heaven, you came from heaven. We just read the heavenly light. So instead, now we getting the keys back, the gifts, which are the gifts from Allah. Now Jesus say, I bring to you the title of your vast estate. See, we think it's president, we think it's king, we think it's queen, we think it's the number one champion, we think it's the number one, but the title to our vast estate is Sufyan. Sufyan Khalik. For the man and for the spirit woman, Sufyana Khalika. So now when we're expressing, that is the title to our vast estate, given us by Islam, called theosis, us becoming one with our creator, who is Allah, the infinite. Now it says, all power in heaven. That's the knowledge of the higher self. Excuse me, that's the wisdom, not knowledge. It's the wisdom of the higher self. All power in heaven and earth. Earth is the knowledge of the lower self. Earth is mine. So higher self and lower self is both yours. So you have two selves or two selves. I like to say self, so that's for sure. You have two selves. Did you catch what I said? You have two selves. So you have to understand you have two selves. One heaven, one earth. And all this power is given to you in the form of knowledge of the lower self and wisdom of the higher self. So once you have both the higher self and the lower self, wisdom and knowledge, go forth and teach the nations of the earth the gospel of the resurrection of the dead and eternal life through Jesus, the love of Allah made manifest to men. And then he clasped Apollo's hand and said, my human flesh was changed to higher form by love divine. By love divine. Love divine. And you can manifest, you can manifest in flesh, that's the lower flesh, or in the higher planes of self at will. At will. This is the greatest gospel or good news to ever exist. What I can do, all men can do. But you need a certain teaching. You need this teaching that's going to teach you the gospel of omnipotence. The gospel of omnipotence. Let me show you how powerful this is. There we go. Omnipotence. So the gospel, see, is the title. The title is the Sufyan, which give us all the keys to our vast estate of heaven and earth. Body and soul. So as spirit man, now you have the power over your soul and body. As the creator has control over his creation. So those are hidden wisdom of the higher self, and that was the knowledge of the lower self. So much greatness else that could be brought forth if any more questions. But we see in the super, it brings us to the omnipotent. This is the gospel of the omnipotence of all people. All people are able, all of us. The people, Allah says the people means Allah Qadirah. And Allah Qadirah means the people, which means the people means the omnipotence. The people mean the all ableness.
I think we should read the people. Super 144, I think we should read it again. The people. There should not be a clear distinction between the people and the animals. Reading. Al-Nas. Oh, you believe. Let it be said.
And yeah, you know that word nos? That's the word nos. Al nos.
Okay.
See, the people are the nose. Remember they used to say the Gnostic or the nose, or the early Christians, ancient Christians, the Gnostics before the Catholics and all that. That's what is referring to us, so we can be all knowing of our all omnipotence.
O you who believe, let it be said, Al-Qadir, the omnipotent, the all able, the omnipotent, the all able. In the 101st name of Allah, the infinite, the unique, the all-knowing, the perfection and completion of knowledge of all. The being and disposition of action of life from beginning to end. Behold, the end of fear, of uncertainty, of darkness. A new age of light through wisdom. Now I said the animal was the light of Allah, but it didn't say through wisdom.
Wisdom is what I was just discussing, is theosis. Wisdom is the consciousness of theosis. Our word for theosis is wisdom.
So what's another thing to separate you from animal? Wisdom. Let not one word be altered, lest those that alter the word of Allah be judged. And let the word of Allah transform your heart, your life, and spirit. Okay.
Isn't that so beautiful to understand that's what the people are? The people are all able. They able to do all. There's nothing meaning they cannot do.
Right. That's why your government treats you like animals when you're not able to do anything on your own. You having to go and ask the government to do something for you.
Right. When Allah created us, all people, where we all can come together and be all able. And we omnipotent, meaning we have the potential of all. Every human being has the potential of all knowing inside of them. In this state of all knowing, or all or nothing is absolute, omnipotent, is the perfection. Nothing is absolute. Nothing. Remember, because we ain't talking about the created. The process of wisdom is the process of theosis. Theosis is deification. To be saved is to reach a deific life. This is certainty. When we said uncertainty of darkness, and that's become because of worshiping darkness, things we know not. Now we know ourselves because we exist. And now we, through wisdom or theosis, can now live the word of Allah and be transformed by the words of Allah. This is what has been hidden from us. And so our people don't understand that nothing is absolute, being the uncreated is the completion of knowledge. All the something that you're going after is going to turn into nothing. And this is the completion of knowledge of all, not some. We talking about all. And all this is the being. All this, what we talking about, is the being. Allah is the being, the creator, the being who created us.
The being of action of life from beginning to end, the disposition of action.
Now, without being, can you be? So, to have existence, for you to be a human being, meaning you was created by a being, and this being is one, just like your being is one. And this is a disposition, meaning it don't have a position. It's not local. This nothing that is absolute is not local, or it has no property. It's uncreated. It is not a created creation. And this is all the way from life, every action of life from beginning. We're talking about an infant to the end. An elder. That is not wisdom. That's the knowledge of the lower self. You never was an infant. You never was an elder. Those are processes belonging to the lower self.
Actually, I went to disposition.
You did.
As ordering, management, a setting in order, arrangement, also tendency of mind, aptitude, inclination, mood, or state of mind.
Mm. So that's telling us right there then, the creator is also, or that nothing that is absolute and perfect and consistent in all knowledge is a state of mind.
It says the being and state of mind, basically, of action, of life, from beginning to end.
That's powerful.
To incline the mind or heart of.
So we have to bring our mind into our heart, as we was taught. The heart of man to the heart of Allah. Bringing that state of mind. That state of mind is that perfectness. This is the nothingness. Your mind is the omnipotent, the all able, the being.
Have you looked up being on this? But it said the existence, 13th century, in its most comprehensive sense, condition, state, circumstances, presence, fact of existence, that which physically exists, a person or thing,
Ooh.
a human being.
Existence.
Mhm.
Ooh. So this state of mind, a state of mind is your heart, your life, and spirit. Your mind is your heart, your life, and your spirit.
A new age of light through wisdom. So
Through wisdom.
the old age is the animal state. That's what I get.
Yeah, you're right. That's it. Getting treated as slaves, because when we say animals, that's slaves as property.
Mm-hmm.
So we are through with slaves and the slave narrative. We don't come from no man or woman. We come from the Creator, Allah, Allah. Let the word of law transform your heart, your life, and spirit. We close, but we stay open in the name of Allah. Wadu.